In an interview with the Chicago Tribune, Hastert sang, and I quote, "When the base finds out who is feeding this monster, they are not going to be happy. The people who want to see this thing blow up are ABC News and a lot of Democratic operatives, people funded by George Soros." With us now, billionaire George Soros. His new book is entitled The Age of Fallibility, Consequences of the War on Terror. Mr. Soros, good to have you.
Yes, pleasure.
You timed it for this, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
All right. What do you make of that he is essentially charging you and other operatives behind some of these leaks?
Well, the implication that I had something to do with this scandal is so far off the mark that it's really laughable. I mean, it's a feeble attempt to divert attention from him and his responsibility. He's done it before.
In 2004.
To me, yeah. But this time I don't think he can get away with it.
All right, but you're a busy man, right? You wouldn't necessarily know what some of the Democratic groups in the 527 plans you fund are up to, right?
No, I don't.
Okay, so it's possible that they could be doing this sort of stuff.
It's possible, but I heard about it the first time when it appeared on television.
Let me ask you about a comment you made to the Council of Foreign Relations earlier this week, I believe, Mr. Soros, where you said, "I'd very much like to get disengaged from politics. I'm interested in policy and not politics." Does that mean you don't contribute anymore?
No, I think it's very important, actually, to re-establish checks and balances for the Democrats to capture at least one of the houses. But I think that we are really in very big trouble as a country, and we need to deal with the really dismal prospects that we are facing in the war on terror. I really became engaged in domestic politics in 2004 because I felt that the single most important thing I could do to make the world a better place is to help get President Bush out of the White House. And unfortunately, events since then have borne me out.
What did you think that, despite all your money, whatever it was, $25 million, and you touched on it in your book, the American people re-elected George Bush?
Yes. Well, partly I think the elections came a little too early for people to realize how bad things were in Iraq. But also, I think there is something wrong, unfortunately, with our electorate, because we don't like to hear inconvenient truths. We want our leaders to tell us what we want to hear. Everything is fine. We are in charge. And unfortunately, we have to face reality.
Well, what's the reality to you? You say the war on terror is essentially a mistake.
That is what I'm saying. It's a natural way to respond to the terrorist attack. We were attacked, we have to hit back, call it a war. But the way this phrase, this figure of speech was then implemented, actually was counterproductive. It has made the terrorist threat much bigger, and it has really endangered our dominant position in the world.
But you were supportive in the early days, and you spell this out in your book, that in the early days and going into Afghanistan and going after the Taliban, that you were for. And you do have a record of being for military incursions in the past, as in Bosnia, et cetera.
As a matter of fact, I was together with Paul Wolfowitz lobbying the Clinton administration for taking a more forceful position in the Balkans.
Yes, you were. But here's what might shock some people, and I guess this is why you can be a polarizing figure, Mr. Soros. You say the war on terror, as we have waged it since 9/11, has done more harm than good.
Yes.
It's pretty strong.
Well, because, you see, we abhor terrorists because they kill innocent people for political goals. Now, so when we chase them down, we really must go out of our way not to do the same thing. Because if we torture people, humiliate people, kill people who are innocent, they look at us in the same light as we look at terrorists. And that is, in fact, what has happened, particularly in Iraq.
Last time I checked, there aren't a whole lot of billionaires on the planet, but according to Forbes magazine, he is the 27th richest one. George Soros back with us. The book is The Age of Fallibility, Consequences of the War on Terror. And in that book, he has nothing good to say about the President of the United States. Nothing. Zero. You hate the guy.
No, I certainly don't hate the guy at all. This is a misunderstanding.
You didn't say one thing nice about it.
Unfortunate. I am opposed to the policies. I think our
But has he done anything good? We got the Dow at a record. We got the economy doing pretty well. 4.7% unemployment.
I have no beef with the economic policy. I think I can say something good actually about him, because he has been very broad-minded on immigration, and he really sponsored a good bill. Unfortunately, the House Republicans
are a little tougher. Right.
refused. They just took the punitive part. They didn't take the constructive part.
But you'll acknowledge that the economy is okay. The markets are okay.
Look, I don't want to... markets are something else.
I know you're worried about a slowdown and maybe even a recession
but
next year.
I think, for instance, the Federal Reserve is handling the situation very well by not having raised interest rates more. So, look, I'm not... the fact that one side is wrong, it doesn't mean that the other side is right.
But I got this feeling, Mrs. Soros, and I could be interpreting too much from the book and from your prior comments. I followed you closely for a couple of decades. That you just don't think this president is right for the job, fit for the job, that you almost think he's an idiot. You said that George W. Bush is more like an unwitting tool. Cheney, you're referring to the vice president, is the power behind the throne. You really believe that?
That's exactly what I believe.
So what, Cheney goes in the office, says this is what we're doing today?
I think that the Cheney-Rumsfeld wing of the Bush administration is the one that is really fostering absolutely the wrong policies. My real disagreement, I think, is with them.
Okay, so it's not so much that you think battling bad guys or people who want to throw around planes into buildings is bad. You're thinking our response to it is bad. You're saying that you've got to talk to the bad guys?
No, look, incidentally, when you make peace, you need to make peace with your enemies, not with your friends. So, while there's no talking to Al-Qaeda, it's nonsense, there are many other political movements that use terrorist tactics, which are really not acceptable, where I think it's very necessary to actually come to some agreement. I mean, in Iraq, right? It's really the occupation and the humiliation we have inflicted on people whom we put into prison, tortured, humiliated.
But humiliation, Mr. I mean, here's humiliation for 3,000 of our people getting killed. And after that, you say, when I heard President Bush say either you were with us or you're with the terrorists, I was reminded of Nazi propaganda.
Look.
Yeah, you're a very smart man. London School of Economics. Is that a proper statement to compare the leader of the free world to a Nazi?
No, I did not call President Bush a Nazi.
You said, reminded you of Nazi propaganda.
You know, when people who criticize the administration's policies are called traitors, that is exactly what the Nazis did. And that does remind me. And I do take objection to it, because that's against the principles of critical discussion which has made this country great.